Hey YouTube, it's Matt with Olympus Reptiles, and today we're going to talk about a very real topic in the world, at least in the United States, probably in the rest of the world, from what I understand. I mean, some places have bigger problems to deal with than this, but for a lot of us, we're dealing with things like major inflation. I think that's more just us over here in the United States. And we're also dealing with things like major gas price inflation. That one's kind of more worldwide. But let's look at that and let's talk about how that's going to affect the reptile market. And you're probably saying, wait a minute. You're talking about gas and you're talking about groceries, but we're talking about snakes. So, had to get some, good eye candy on here. This is one of our big pied females that we're hoping goes this year. You've never let me down, baby girl. Don't start this year. So what's going to happen with these guys? Why don't we see the price inflating of snakes? I'll be honest, I think snake price inflation already happened, and it happened back during COVID. I think it happened because people had money to spend. It drove up demand. People were looking for something to do. They got into this hobby, drives up demand. Demand goes up. Supply stays relatively the same. You have price inflation. It's kind of what happens. But I don't think we're going to see more inflation here because I don't really see demand going up much right now, other than the fact that more people are in the hobby if they stay. But with things like groceries going up and gas going up, you're going to see some people, I think, cut back on non-necessities. So how's that market going to react? Well, if I told you I had all the answers, I'd be lying. I can tell you that for a lot of families, if their choices come down to buying another one of these or feeding their kids, they're probably going to choose feeding their kids. They probably should choose feeding their kids. Now, maybe they have other things in life they can cut out, like a travel, or maybe they choose to cut out going to the movies or going out to eat, and they continue to go ahead and do this because something they can do at home as a hobby together, and a single purchase, something you can enjoy for a long time, getting good value for your dollar. That's also very much quite possible. So I really don't know what's going to happen. What I can tell you, though, beyond any doubt, is that our market's in for changes. That doesn't mean it's bad. This isn't a sky is falling, oh my God video. The video title probably looks that way because that makes you click on it. But in truth, all it means is we're in for change. And I'm going to be very blunt. It's something I talked about a long time ago on Patreon. We'll get more in the weeds with them. Is if you are a breeder, and especially if you're not a big breeder. I mean, if you're a humongous breeder, right? You're going to feel this. You're going to feel changes, but you're going to be pretty well insulated. And worst case scenario, you fire a few people and work a little bit more yourself. No big deal. I think it's a big deal for people you fired, but at the end of the day, you're probably going to be okay. If you're a breeder like me, who is sitting at a size like this and looking to transition from a career to doing this as your career, man, it's a little bit of a scary time. Is it going to stop me from doing what I'm doing? No, it's not at all. Hesitation is just for dramatic pause. It's not going to slow down or stop anything we're doing because I still feel like this is a market that I'll be able to compete in and do well in. Now, if I was brand new at it and I was still in the phase of having to invest a lot of money while raising the kids that I don't have, or having a lot of bills that I don't have, it might be different. That's the people who I'm concerned with. But I can tell you, if you're one of those people and you can find a way to weather the storm, you're going to be fine. I'm going to drop you a few names. Actually, I'm going to drop you one name. I don't know if you've heard of the guy. He's not a snake guy, so I don't think he is. He owns Berkshire Hathaway. They call him something of Lincoln or Omaha, Wizard of Omaha or something like that. The Oracle of Omaha. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. Really old dude. Made lots and lots and lots of money. Warren Buffett. That's the name I'm looking for. Warren Buffett. And in that time, he's made his money by investing in things. Mostly the stock market. Some businesses, some different things. He's had some hits. He's had some losses. He's hit some home runs. He's had some misses. But overall, he's done very well for himself, starting with not very much to get where he's at today. I guarantee you, in his long, he's kind of old, in his long life, doing that, one of the things that's made him so successful in what he's doing is he's weathered the storms. He didn't look at it and go, oh my God, the stock market's falling, tech stocks are falling, this is falling, and just get out. And just say, I'm out, oh my God, it's too hard, it's too bad, I'm out. He didn't do that. He weathered those storms. If you're looking at this as an investment, as this is what I want to do, I'm going to invest in this, this is where I want to be, I want this to be a long-term, either a hobby for me, business for me, part of my retirement planning, whatever you're looking at it as, understand you're going to have to weather some storms. And if demand is driven down because people have less discretionary income, that may cause a storm where it's just a harder market to sell your animals in. It may cause a storm where maybe we don't get the prices we were hoping to get. In this case, we don't see snakes increase in value because they already did that. And right now, if something is $100 last month and 6 months from now it's still $100, that's actually less value, right? Because that $100 ain't worth what it once was. I could fill my gas tank how many times for $100, and now I can almost do it. So you can see the difference in the value of money. So things staying the same, in actuality, they're going down in value. So you're going to see a market reset there. I don't anticipate snakes skyrocketing up at the same percentage level as things like food, gas, other things, things in transit. As a matter of fact, shipping costs is going to eat a lot of the online sales, meaning we're going to be more competitive because people have to factor that in. And I can already tell you I've seen an increase in the cost of shipping, and I don't expect that to go away anytime in the near future. You're going to say, well, Matt, gas prices will eventually go down. And they will, but guess what? Shipping prices won't, even when gas prices do. That's because once they get that level of pricing, they never go back. So the price isn't going to be tied to, well, gas went down, now FedEx is going to lower our shipping cost. Ain't going to happen. Gas goes down, FedEx is going to increase its profit margin. Mark my words. And that's okay. That's part of how this is going to work. It's how it's worked for hundreds of years. Welcome to capitalism. Parts of it suck, parts of it are great. I'm driving fun cars and living in a nice house because capitalism. I'm not driving some, Russian-made piece of shit because I don't have capitalism. Although some people there have super yachts. How can you have communism in a super yacht? I ain't figured that shit out yet. But anyway, that's not my point. So the point being, be prepared to weather this storm. Okay? I'll show you a prime example. Prime example, this is one of my little holdback girls from a while back. She was a struggle bus snake. And of course, you're in shed. Don't matter. She's in shed, so forgive her for not looking gorgeous. Again, I'm just on a pied kick today. This is a nice little pied I kept back from last season. Now, we sold pieds last year. I think we sold them at $350 to probably $400, depending on the pied. Single gene. No extra stuff going on, right? This year, I anticipate being able to do the same. But I want you to ask yourself, as I'm saying, that's still a market reset in a lot of ways, because is $350 last year the same as $350 now? Can you do as much with $350 now as you could have done with $350 last year? The answer is probably a resounding no if you actually go to the grocery store or you actually buy gas. I've heard people who are saying their rent is going up. All sorts of things, meaning that $350 is literally the market going down. So in essence, if I was going to make the same money per animal as I did before, this $350 snake would probably need to be about $425 or at least $400. Can the market bear that increase? I don't know. I don't think it's going to, because if I raise that to $425, the next guy's still selling for $350. So I'm probably going to stick to my guns where my pricing is. It also could be the fact that there's less people now who are wanting to get into this. They may be watching animals on YouTube. Maybe they're watching this video right now. I hope they are. And saying, man, I'd love to do that, but I just can't because my big old F-350 needs gas. Or my 3 kids who are teenagers need new shoes for school. Oh yeah, and they each eat $100 of groceries a week. How's that about right, Kurt? You got some kids. They eat a lot, right? So when you start dealing with that, it makes you less likely to invest money into this if you're just starting. So be prepared, for those of you who are getting in there and going into sales, that you could see that market slow down. What I will tell you is this: if that happens, and it's still a big if, I mean, we're talking about recession, and recession does not mean the world's ending. By the love of God, I don't care what the news is. Recession isn't a good thing, but it doesn't mean the world's ending. We've had recessions all the time. We have them fairly often, just as 2 quarters of shrinkage. It's not, oh my God, the world dies. Depression's a lot worse. I'm not in one of those. I've lived through one of those. Most people have lived through one of those. And I didn't really even notice because of the time when I was doing. But my point being, if you weather that storm, then it's going to come back good. Because some folks aren't going to weather it. Some folks are going to quit. They're going to get out. You're going to have probably a slowdown of growth in breeders. Then when it comes back, it's going to come back with a vengeance, right? Because it will. It'll roar back. It always does. It's how these markets always work. Wasn't that long ago, oil was at a negative. Oil is now like about $120 a barrel. Markets change. They roar back. This is going to do the same. So what I'm telling you is be prepared as you go into this era of the market. Be prepared for some bumps in the road. Be prepared for it maybe not to be great. Be prepared for some rough times. Hope for some good times. Prepare for some rough. Hope for some good. It probably will not be as bad as you prepare for then, and you'll be ready if it is a little rough, but it'll probably be better than what you're expecting. That's how it usually goes. And then it's going to improve even farther from there. And those who stay with it, and those who stick with it, and those who persevere will end up just like that Oracle of Omaha and are going to be successful because they didn't bail at the first sign of rough waters. Sometimes you got to go through a choppy sea to get to that beautiful island, drink the margaritas with the chick in the coconut bra bringing it to you, right? So, or dude in a coconut, I mean, we accept all. If you want a guy who's wearing a coconut, G-string, I guess you can have that if that's what you're into. I don't judge. But you got to persevere through it. Kurt, anything you want to add? You're more into the investment markets and things than I am, and you follow that more closely than I do. Am I far off in what I'm saying?
No, you're not. I think you're spot on. You just need to, it'll eventually get better, and I don't know how far gas prices are going to go up or how far they're going to come back down. But.
And even think about the gas pricing. Well, maybe you always say, sell at a show. I always advocate for going to shows, and shows are more fun than shipping it in a box, and that's true. If I go to a show in Kansas City, what used to cost me X number of dollars to get there and back now costs me double, right? Because of the fuel cost. So even that is going to factor into my profit margins and your profit margins if you're doing this. But by the same token, you gotta stick with it if you believe in it. If you truly believe in what you're doing, stick with it. There's still profit there. Ain't the end of the world. I promise. I promise you the sun will rise tomorrow. You have my word. Anything else you want to add, Kurt?
No.
All right, guys, if that's it, then we're going to hop up off here. Don't shit on my table, please. And we're going to slide over to Patreon. I thought the tail was going to go right there. We're going to slide over to Patreon and talk a little bit more about some of the things you can possibly do to weather that storm and how to be prepared for it with those guys over there. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.